Hello guys, this is Dylan with Checkmate Vanguard. We are back with deck profiles. You guys have been asking for some premium deck profiles, so we're going to do some again. So today we have Kelland here. He's a locals guy that's been playing our Revengers list. You've been seeing our videos. So we're just going to cover his updated list, his updated list for Revengers with Raging Fault. So we're just going to go right through it.
Alrighty, what's up guys? So this deck, I'm genuinely surprised hasn't popped off recently just because of the fact that, honestly, yeah, Luard is still great, but like, as a deck, Shadows is better, but I just mainly wanted to show this off because Revengers are what got me into Vanguard for the very first time I played it.
So let's go for it.
Yep, so for starters, I run just a random V starter. I chose Full Bow because he just came in the starter deck when that came out.
And then triggers.
Trigger ratios, I run 3 of Grim Revenger. This is just proxied in, but it's supposed to be another one of him. You want to run this instead of the other Shadow Effect crit, just because this is a Revenger by name, so it can be used with all of the Raging Form effects.
More names to kill off a Raging Fall and Raging Form, more or less.
And then I run 4 of the Stride crit, just because you don't really want to discard your grade 3s for Strides, just because they're really useful in the deck, and you just kind of want to have something that you can just toss away. 4 draw PGs. Really simple, kind of the best way to run them.
Need draw power to get in the pieces.
4 Heal Guardians. These are really important. When these came out, this is what like made Raging Form as a deck even better than before, because you had so many different Abyss Dragons to discard.
And more stride fodder.
Yeah, and then obviously 1 Over Trigger just kind of rules over everything right now. And the Keter Over Trigger is just especially useful because you just get drive checks on all your rear guards. And you can make an unblockable attack.
And now into the actual heart.
The actual heart, I'm running 3 of Revenger of Vigor Mar. Basically, when you're on your grade 3s, you can counterblast 1 and search out a Vanguard with the same name as yours. So basically, you use this when you're on Raging Form to get more of him, to get more re-rides during the turn. And he's just super useful because even though he costs a counterblast, it's just really easy to get a bunch of him off of the combo. 3 of Dark Armor Revenger Renal. He's just really good because of the fact that
he's like Craven Claw for Starvaders, but he just checks top 3 instead of top 5.
Checks top 3, adds 1, and then puts 1 back. And it's just really useful because then you just get a bunch of Revengers in hand. And then
when he's popped, he also pops something on your opponent's board.
Yeah, and then 4 of the new grade 1, Rakia. He's really good because on rear guard, he lets you just call a grade 2 for Soul Blast 2 from drop, and that allows you to recycle a bunch of stuff, which is really good for a Raging Fall and Raging Form. And he, when you ride over him, when you ride a grade 3 over a grade 2 on hit while he's in the soul, you can call a grade 1 from deck at rest, which just allows you to get more cards out on the board, which is really useful.
You can get a Mar, you can get
Mar, you can get Renal, you can get pretty much anything you're running at that time. So he's really good.
And next to
on
grade 2s,
we're running 4 of Dark Cloak Revenger Tartu.
Very good card.
Very good card. Even if you ride it, just Soul Blast 1, call a grade 1 from deck and retire at the end phase. This gets your Renals, this gets your Mars, this gets literally whatever you want on the board. And it doesn't even have to be in the same column like most of the other cards do.
Like mana.
Yeah. But that just makes her really useful because it just allows you to fill up the board as fast as possible. 4 of Rukia. He is essentially the second part of the ride line because when you ride over him with a grade 3, it's essentially Renal's effect but on ride. And that's just really useful because that gets more cards to your hand and it also allows you to filter the deck a little bit. And then when you have a grade 1, behind him on rear guard, he gets 5k, which just makes him a good beat stick on Raging Form turns.
Ideally, it's like a 23 or 22 number.
Yeah. Dark Bless Angel, this card is actually really good because it's like a mana, but when it's retired. So if you're not at 4 damage, which is a big problem with this deck, you can use this card to counterblast and call a grade 1 and get another rewrite off.
That's not GB locked, right?
It's not GB locked.
Okay, so you can do it in your first grade 3 turn with Raging Form if you really have to.
Yeah. And then 3 of Wily Revenger mana. I run 3. You usually want to run 4 just because this is like the best card in the deck right here.
It's insanely good. It's a fetcher for any other Revenger.
You call her, you call a grade 1 Revenger immediately after, and then you get whatever effects that one gets.
Probably Mauer.
Yeah,
right?
Because that just allows you to search out more Raging Forms. Alright.
Now to the actual
showstoppers. Alright, first of all,
wait, hold up, whoa. I thought we were talking about the showstoppers, not...
Well, we gotta talk about this guy first, just because, he's your one of. You run him at 1. If you have 3 force markers, Soul Blast to grade 3. He gets 10k in a crit. You can't use Sentinels. This with over trigger is dangerous.
We'll come back to him. We'll
Yeah.
come back to him and explain him.
But anyway, 4 of Raging Form Dragon.
Ooh, spicy.
He's huge.
What a card.
Yeah, when you're at Limit Break 4, you counterblast 1, search the deck for a grade 2, and call it. So you use this, call mana, call whatever behind it.
So for a counterblast, you get 2 units more or less. So that
Yeah.
cuts down on the cost of killing 3.
And then when at the end of the battle he attacks, you retire 3 Revenger units. They have to be Revengers, unfortunately.
AKA the reason why we're running the crits that are just Revenger in name.
Yeah, you choose any grade 3 Revenger from hand and write it as stand.
Any grade 3 Revenger, which flip the other guy around.
Which that means you can get pretty much your reverse unit on whatever turn you want. You can ride as many of him as you can if you have enough damage. This card is actually just insane. And then when combined with Raging Fall Dragon.
You got your VSR shut off real quick.
Yeah, the VSR right here.
Alright.
He's just, you lock however many units during your turn, he gets 5. You give 3 Revengers 5k, so you lock 3 and the front row just gets 15k basically.
And then if you have 5 damage or...
You have 5 damage or 2 locked. You have to counterblast 3 and discard 3, but the counterblast is reduced by how many you have locked. You restand him and he doesn't lose any drive checks. So essentially on your stride turns against some decks, you just go into him and then go into Chain Ranker. You get 6 drive checks for discard 3.
Got it.
And just a huge Vanguard. And the amount of like attacks you can get off with this and then this is insane, because if you have enough counterblasts, you could just support like 5 Vanguard attacks.
But that's the catch, though. It takes a lot of counterblasts.
It takes a lot of counterblasts, and unfortunately, this deck doesn't run a countercharger because of the fact that there are no really good Revenger counterchargers.
Gotcha.
Hopefully, we end up getting at some point.
Let's go back. Let's go into the strides.
Yeah, let's do that real quick.
And then we're going to talk about Danger Lunge and some other things.
Alright, so for the G Zone, I'm running. This is sort of like the main card of the deck. Raging Rat Dragon. He's Limit Break 4, and his cost is really big. He's Counterblast, Soul Blast, Retire 2, and then discard 2 Grade 3 Abyss Dragons from hand.
AKA your Raging Forms, your Raging Falls.
After he attacks, you do all that, and then you ride him as stand from... You re-stride over him, basically, directly from the G-Zone.
He's treated as another Revenger, but he's from the Stride Zone.
Yeah, and all he loses is 1 drive, so you can get a bunch of attacks.
With Twin.
Depending on how many. With Twin, basically. And that just allows you to get a bunch of drive checks and just... huge multi-attacks.
And then now into the regular Shadow Paladin's toolbox stuff.
So, Chain Ranker Dragon, really simple. It just copies the heart of the Vanguard when you GB flip. Essentially, you just have Raging Form, so you get a stride unit that can re-ride.
It gives the first attack for your Raging Form swings, guard restrict usually, which is a good thing.
And then after that, I run 2 of Morfessa, despite the fact that I only run 10 grade 1s. This is just a really good finisher card most of the time.
Draw card.
Draw cards, give everything 15 in a crit, and everyone has to guard with 3.
If you ride Danger Lunge, at least you have a stride that you can use. That's at least going to help you get out of that.
Yeah. 3 of Phantom Blaster Diablo. I run 3 just so I can have something to GB flip with Chain Ranker. This essentially is like sort of a last resort if your opponent has no rear guards. Just make an attack unblockable for a bit. The only thing they can really do is G-Guard.
And then you got G-Guards.
And then G-Guards, I run 4
Plot Maker.
Because he is just really good.
He just gets big.
He gets big. It's a 25k shield, and that's like the best G-Guards Avengers have at this point. Then 1 Dark Veil Dragon, just because if you get all your grade 1s and drop, he just becomes 30k shield.
Yeah, he's just a high caliber shield.
Yeah. Essentially, that is
the list.
That's the list so far.
But we are gonna kind of go back in and explain some other things. Like, let's talk about the Danger Lunge play you use it for.
So Danger Lunge, I run him at 1 because of the fact that
you'll just draw
if I do an entire Raging Form turn and then I have like 3 Force Markers on board, I call him, go into something like Wrapped, get a bunch of drive checks off, and if I get over trigger, this essentially just becomes unblockable.
Does that get Sentinel Strict or
it gets Sentinel Restrict?
It gets Sentinel Restrict. Okay.
Unfortunately, it's only from hand, so decks like Gurguit are able to. It's unfortunate. They just call the PG off deck and it still works.
Gotcha.
But this card, if you just use it on your last turn, this can change the game.
I don't see too many people playing Danger Lunge, but obviously, you know, this is something that can sneak up on your opponent and kind of take him out. It also gets crit, right?
Yeah, it does. As for gifts, Force 1 for most matchups, just because of the fact that Raging Form, you get a bunch of gifts, like all your columns get big power.
And then Force 2 sometimes.
Yeah. Force 2, this is if you have to ride a Raging Fall first. And if you ride Raging Fall first, you want to do that in some matchups like Kagero or Narukami, just because they'll want to retire your board and you just don't let them do that because of Raging Fall.
Gotcha.
And then just the standard quick shield.
Obviously, come on.
You kind of have to run it at this point if you're running a V starter. The extra 5k shield matters.
So let's talk about the new ride line, like what it actually brings to the table versus just playing, riding up Renault to Tartu and to Raging Form.
Yeah, so ride him over the starter. I don't get anything just yet. I just get a body on board and I get to draw a card from the starter. Ride him, another body on board, and then if I ride in a Raging Form and I'm somehow at 4 damage, I get 4 different effects. I get to get a grade 1 from deck, get to search top 3, get to call another grade 2.
Right.
And the amount of effects you get just during ride phase and battle phase alone with this deck.
Nothing in your main deck's really GB locked either, right?
Right, nothing.
So you can just go pop off on your first grade 3 turn and get like 3 Raging Form attacks in just the first, while your opponent's on grade 2 more or less.
Yeah, even if I'm at Counterblast 1, I can get 3 Raging Form attacks usually, as long as I have Dark Bless in hand, which I can search easily with Rukia.
Is this like an easy deck to play, you think? Or kind of like...
It's kind of a little bit difficult, but once you get the whole combo down and everything, it becomes
understanding
much
floaters.
Easier. You have to understand when it's best to call different units.
Right.
And you have to really manage your damage at any time, because the fact that if you're not at 4 damage, you really gotta
pay attention to your damage count and what you're taking in early.
Yeah, and then you gotta also pay attention to what you're counterblasting for, because if you overextend, you're just going to end up petering out before you can actually do any big finishers.
Just to close it out, what, in your opinion, given our locals is kind of a mixed match of everything, where would you put this on the tier list of premium decks right now? After you just kind of gauging and you've been playing this for weeks upon months.
So honestly, even though it's not as good as Luard or any other the big name decks right now like Jewel Knights, I think this deck is still pretty much A tier because of the fact that it's really explosive. Most decks can't really do anything about the amount of attacks it can get off.
When it pops off really hard.
When it pops off hard. Harder than most decks, actually. But it's just
the marker generation to get over triggers.
The over triggers. The main issues are counterblast lock. If your opponent can retire your units like Narukami or...
having a Denial Griff in place.
Yeah, Kagero. And then Link Joker is just really
Link
hard
Joker
as usual.
locking down cards.
Those are the main issues, but any other deck, this it goes pretty much even with or it beats.
It can pretty much be almost anything that's a solitaire deck, I would say.
Pretty much. It beats Regalia, it beats Regalia, it beats a bunch of other decks like that. Nightmare Dolls. It's just a bunch it does a good matchup against because you don't even really need to stride with it.
Gotcha. I think that's all that really needs to be covered. I thank Kel for coming onto the channel and showing us his deck list, kind of giving some other people some ideas about, premium options, much more than just Luard. This is a deck that you can play competitively, and you can go to locals and bring it, and do rather well, I would say. So, thank you, Kelland.
Well, thank you for coming on the channel. I appreciate it.
Alrighty, this is Checkmate Vanguard, and we'll be seeing y'all later.